Yes. Okay, let's get started.
Okay, so I think we should start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, Why Predictive Analytics and How It Can Help Your Marketing. I am Vinay Dabhade, and I'm a data analyst here at Express Analytics. So before we begin, for those of you who may not be very familiar with what Express Analytics does or is all about, here goes. EA has been in the data analytics business first as a service company and in its current avatar as a products company for almost 25 years. We are based in Irvine, California, with offices in India and have many Fortune 500 companies as our clients. Today's webinar host, Hemant Warudkar, is the founder and CEO of Express Analytics. Hemant has a rich experience in both marketing and analytics. Before floating EA, Hemant was a manager with KPMG Consulting, specializing in business intelligence and data warehousing. He's an expert in predictive modeling, data integration, big data, data profiling, and data quality. Hemant has deep domain knowledge of the retail, high-tech, distribution, power and energy, and entertainment industries. He is a subject matter expert in direct marketing in offline and online digital marketing analytics. Now, before Hemant starts, here's some housekeeping. A few announcements I would like to make. While the webinar is on, you'll be asked to answer some opinion polls. So all inputs are welcome and appreciated. Also, till Hemant completes the presentation, all attendees will be muted. So please feel free to key in your questions in advance in the chat box of the GoToWebinar. We'll discuss it and Hemant will answer after his presentation. So without further delay, I will turn the mic to Hemant Warudkar. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Hemant Warudkar, and I am going to cover today's topic of predictive analytics in marketing, why you need to use it, and how you can implement it. So let's go over the agenda for the day. We are going to talk about the business context in which analytics actually sits, what's a marketing strategy, and how to understand what is the marketing process, then what types of data analytics are there, and we define the role of predictive analytics in marketing, and then what's the predictive analytics process, what data do you need for marketing analytics, and once you have the data, how do you take it from raw data to creating predictors of customer behavior, and how do you then operationalize marketing analytics, and along the way, what challenges are there in the process. And then we will have a few question and answers if time permits. So let's take a look at the business context. Today, what is happening in the industry and what each stakeholder in your company has questions that keep them awake. The CEO is always interested in improving the customer experience, improving the brand, and making sure that the business is growing. The CFO is always interested in finding what is the return on the marketing spend. The chief marketing officer is always interested in optimizing the marketing. So his interest is in finding out which channels need nourishing and which channels can be pruned. For example, how many people would want to put Google advertising rather than television advertising today? The chief revenue officer or the sales guys are always interested in having marketing find more customers for them. And then the chief security officer is usually interested in identifying and detecting and preventing fraud. So let's take a quick poll at this point about what channels do you use for marketing today? Does your company use channels for reaching their prospects? Go ahead and enter the polls, and once the poll is finished, we will move on.
Okay, so it seems email and social media.
So Vinay, you can go ahead and close the poll.
Yeah.
All right. So now in the context of the business, what is marketing strategy? Over the years, things have been moving, shifting. Marketing is becoming more customer centric rather than being a product centric. There was a point in time when you could actually manufacture a product, put it on the shelves of a retail store, and people would buy it. But things have changed now because the number of options that customers have, they expect you to be more customer centric and reach them in their context so that they can feel that they're getting a personalized service. So in marketing, how do you be customer centric and improve the performance of your marketing? So the strategy that is most effective in marketing is segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Segmentation is segmenting your customer base and prospect base into uh, new customers, likely to be customers, and then existing customers and customers who are likely to defect. And your objective is to target them with the right message at the right time and position the right product in their context. So, to give you an example, to newlyweds, you would want to target them after a couple of years of their wedding with maybe products which are for childcare, whereas people who have actually had have their kids go to college afterwards, you may want to promote to them products related to marketing or products related to travel and entertainment and so on. So you need to segment your customer base, target them with appropriate messaging, and position your product so that it's on the journey of the customer where they can buy. So today, marketing strategy is more about customer centricity. Next, let's take a look at the marketing process itself. What does the marketing department do? And how do they maximize return on marketing spend? So essentially, we gather the purchase history of existing customer base. We gather our collateral that we have developed for marketing, and we gather product information and then gross margin data from our past sales, and then combine all of this to create what is called a selection of customers who to target. Once you have identified who to target, the second question that marketing has to address is how many times do I contact this contact? And the third thing is, once I have contacted this person, what product do I pitch them? These three questions essentially form the core of the marketing process. But to make it more scientific, predictive analytics uses a couple of other things. One of them is based on past estimation time period, you can collect all this information and then create a field study which you actually apply in an experimentation time period. What do I mean by that? Let's say that you have transactional data from your last year, you collect all that information, and you want to see this season how things will perform. So you want to go and look at last year's same season and then try to analyze, uh, you know, who will repeat by, who will not. So once you have done this estimate in the study of the previous period, what you do is you create a field study and create two different groups. One is called a contact group and the other is called a no contact group. What it essentially means is that the most likely customers who are going to buy something from you, you keep in a contact group and you treat them with a new uh, marketing campaign, whereas the no contact group does not get any messaging from you. The reason for doing this is to be able to then do a comparison between the control group and the holdout group, so that you can know whether your marketing is actually working or not, or what you can improve. That is, in a nutshell, the marketing process. Now let's take a look at the types of data analytics that uh, your company can do. So let's take a look at what actually happens if you are a, let's say you are a telecom service provider and you are seeing that a number of people are actually churning out of your organization and going to your competitor. So the first question that you want to ask is, okay, what happened in this last 6 months? What is the attrition rate in the last 6 months? Which customers have I lost? This is called descriptive analytics. In a sense, here you're asking a question about the business process monitoring. What is happening? Just give me the information. Once I get the information, I will actually be able to ask the question, okay, why did it happen? Why did the attrition rate increase in the last 6 months? This is what is called diagnostic analytics. By doing diagnostic analytics, you can actually understand where are the issues that you need to address. And diagnostic analytics gives you insights into the operation of the business. Then you actually, once you have understood what is causing problems, you want to try to find out what will happen in the next 6 months, let's say. So which customers are most likely to attrit if I don't contact them, or who will actually churn if I contact them? Both of these questions can be answered by something called predictive analytics. So diagnostic analytics and predictive analytics combined actually enrich your understanding of the business by providing you insights. Once you have actually understood what is causing the issues and what is likely to happen, the next question comes, okay, but what can I do about it? Which customer should I target to retain? What if I target them and they still leave? Or should I actually target the right customers? If I make a mistake and target the customers who have got low lifetime value, I may be spending more money and getting a poor result. So this decisioning is what is called prescriptive analytics. Here you actually make a decision of what to do, and eventually you take preemptive analytics, which means that what can I offer before the customer even realizes the need, or can I actually identify somebody who is likely to churn and make them a value added offer so that they continue to stay with me, which means that I'm taking action. So these are the 5 different types of data analytics which allow you to position your own marketing as to where do you fall in this spectrum. This is called a maturity model of predictive analytics. Having said this, let's take a look at all the things that predictive analytics can do in marketing. We all know that predictive analytics can do a lot of things, but in the context of marketing, what are the things that one can do? So what the first thing that we saw was customer churn. How can I actually model who is likely to churn and then try to prevent them from churning. The other thing is, what is the actual value of my customer database? I can do that by identifying the customer lifetime value of each of my customer, and then segment my customer base into multiple segments: the high value customers, the low value customers, the middle of the road customers. I can do the segmentation. Once I've done the segmentation, then I can say, okay, what is my next best action? Which product should I recommend to them? When should I contact them? So product preference modeling, purchase propensity modeling, and then channel preference modeling, all of these actually fall a part of marketing analytics. In the social media realm today, sentiment analysis is actually very talked about. Also, you have seen a lot of cross-sell, upsell modeling. RFM modeling is something that you may not have heard enough of, but I will share a little bit about it in the next slide. So let's take a next poll. Vinay, can you launch that? So does your company use predictive marketing today? So predictive analytics process. Now this is the process by which you can actually create a predictive model. And I just want to touch bases on this. I'm not going to talk about heavy duty statistics that is involved in this, because I know that you would want to know of it in greater detail, and you could always reach out to us to see if we can help you. But the core 6 steps in a predictive analytics process are: first of all, you need to define your project. Describing and recording business intentions for predictive analytics is a very important piece because it clarifies what is your objective. Once you've identified your objective, you want to go about collecting data about this objective. So data detection and assessment of your data's readiness for predictive analytics. What do I mean by data readiness? You may sometimes have all the data that you need, but there may be missing pieces of information, and your analytics team may say that I need this data. So for example, I have the address and the phone number and the email of a customer, but I don't have any other information about it. So you may have to go and try to get that data. Once you have got that data, then you can do exploratory data analysis to try to understand what is the data telling you, which variables would actually give you some prediction about the behavior of a customer, and so on. Once you have gone through the process of modeling the data, then you do what is called data modeling. Now, data modeling actually constitutes 2 pieces. One is you actually take the data for, let's say, a last whole year, and you split it into a couple of different sizes, one on which you create what is called a training data set, and you identify that this data set, I will know what actually happened, and use that to create a predictive model. And then to test that created predictive model, I would actually use a test data set. So the same data set divided into 2 pieces, maybe 60-70% of the data you're taking to do the testing, training of it, and then another 20-30% of the data to do the testing that your model is indeed working correctly. Once you have done that, you do the evaluation of this model and actually understand that, yes, now my model is doing the right thing. Now let me deploy it, and that you can then operationalize predictive analytics. And then once you have operationalized it, you can monitor the performance of the predictive analytics like we saw using control groups and holdout groups. And this cycle continues to repeat. This, in a nutshell, is a predictive analytics process. Now, let's take a look at what data do you need for marketing analytics. First of all, you need some customer data based on which you can create some predictions. For example, you would need the customers that have their email address, phone numbers, first name, last name, also called the PII data, uniquely identifiable personal data. This is usually also called a first party data. Then you need some events data. Events data means that who came to my website, what did they buy, what did they look at, what did they see the ratings of, which product did they see the reviews of. All of these pieces of information can give you an understanding of their intent. What is the feedback on social media, on purchases, and so on. Third is, now you also need some transactional data from the past year. For example, I would like to know the orders, the products that were bought, the shipping preferences, and the type of payments that people made, because all of that has a bearing on the buying behavior of the customer. There is also the mobility preferences. For example, am I allowed to send them an email? Is my customer using my mobile app? Are they registered for push notifications or text messaging, and so on. Another thing which is now available and can be sensed and monitored is social media and response data. So if you do an email marketing program, you could identify the emails that were opened and clicked by the customers, those that were forwarded to other people, recommendations on the social media that were made by your customers, or the emoticons and the likes and reacts that people did on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and so on. All of these pieces allow you to do what is called a profiling of the customer. Data related to the product is equally important because you can plan what products to buy and keep on your store, what product categories are selling more, where the product should be located in your warehouses, and so on. A lot of information can be gathered out of this. Geographical data, data related to where is the customer and where is our location. How close are they to the store? What is the zip code? And the zip codes have got certain affluence index. And also, if they are using your app, then where are the customers with their mobile device? So mobile location. All of this was about B2C, but if you are a B2B company, then you would be interested in knowing what is called firmographic data, data about this customer's business. How big is the business? What is the size of it? What is the number of customers? Which SIC or NAICS codes are they part of? How many locations do they have? What's the nature of their business? All of these pieces of information you can gather. Overwhelming, is it? Yeah, because there are a lot of pieces of data, but yet we do not really know how to use this data to actually put something in production, or how do I create a predictive model out of this? Because I keep on hearing that I have used demographic data for marketing, but it's not a very good predictor of uh, buying behavior. Is there a better way? And I wanted to say here is that yes, we actually have experienced that there are better ways to predict customer buying behavior. So let's see some of the good behavior predictors of customer buying behavior. One of the most important things is recency. The more recent a customer has interacted with you, the more likely he is to respond to your messaging. The more frequently a customer is interacting with you and your brand, the better it is. And the higher the dollar value of every transaction, what is called the average order value, that is also a very, very important consideration about the customer lifetime value. So recency, frequency, monetary value. There is also another new interesting thing, what is called a clustering of buying behavior. So clustering of transactions of a customer is an equally important piece. It allows you to understand the kind of behavior that a customer represents. A classic example of this is that if it is a B2B company, let's say it's a construction company and you are Home Depot, and what you will find is that the construction company actually goes and buys things from you more frequently if they are working on a major project. If they're not working on a project, their buying behavior, the frequency goes down, the recency goes down, and the monetary value also goes down. So this is a kind of an indicator of on a B2B side, an indicator of whether they have a project on which they're working. Transaction data is an important piece of information which tells you what kind of product they're buying, whether the customer is a price sensitive customer or a brand sensitive customer or so on. But all of these pieces of data can actually give you an ability to profile the customer. On the internet, you have a little better chance of identifying browsing behavior of customers and their cart abandonment or cart addition behavior and their repeat buying pattern. All of these are actually better predictors of customer buying behavior, something that a marketer loves. I'm sure you would love them too. So let's take a new 1-minute poll. Do you have a marketing analytics team? That's the question when I wants to know an answer of. Okay, now you have understood the marketing process, you have a strategy in place, and you have done some predictive modeling. So the question is, how do I operationalize marketing analytics? So let's take an example and work through that. Let's say that you want to reactivate your existing customers by contacting your best customers. You have a promotion that you want to offer them. How do you do that? So the best way to do is to start with a small test group and keep improving from your learnings. So gather your data about the first party data, the second party social media public data, and you can request and we can provide you an Excel spreadsheet of what kind of data you would need. When I say first party, all the direct transactions that a customer has with you. Second party is data that is provided to you by your service providers. For example, if you use email marketing, your email service provider can tell you information about opens and clicks of your email. Social media channels would actually give you information related to who is liking your tweets and who is retweeting. And public data is the census data or the demographic data about a particular zip code, affluence, and so on. Now you take all this data and then you create a response model. And this response model actually gives you what is called an equation, which allows you to score all your customers. Once you have scored all the customers, you can rank them from the highest probability to buy to the least probability of buying, and use this scored list of customers to create a control group and a holdout group. In the meantime, while analytics department is doing all this analysis, you have created your shiny new marketing collateral, and you can take that collateral and contact the control group, but don't send it to the holdout group. And after that, you're observing the performance of your campaign. In the next 30 to 45 days, you gather all the possible responses that you're likely to attribute to this campaign. And once you have gotten that data, you analyze the results of the control group as compared to the holdout group, review the results with your stakeholders, and get some more funding for your marketing program or get appreciation of it, and then use your learnings to repeat the process. If you are interested in doing something like this and do not have resources, we could help you. We can do a proof of concept with you. At this point, I'm actually going to touch on a topic which is a very hot topic today. Everybody's saying, oh, AI and ML can change everything. And so the question is, how does AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, influence the marketing department? So AI and ML in marketing is actually used in mostly in real-time cases where you want to scale the classification of your customer base. Imagine that you're an e-commerce company and you have got about 1 million hits every day on your website. You want to know which customers you want to be able to provide recommendations to, which customers you want to promote by providing discounts, and how do you do all of this in real time. Essentially, you want to do personalization in real time. You all must have seen the personalization that happens when you go to Amazon.com or Netflix or any of the online businesses. Anti-money laundering and fraud detection is also a major part of AI and ML, and most marketers are very wary of fraud, and so they use it to detect where there are fraudulent charges being applied to your credit card and so on. Another important piece of machine learning which is applied to email is, if any of you are using Gmail, you know that there are 4 buckets that they have created. Or as the primary bucket, the social media bucket, the updates and the groups that you are part of. That segmentation happens automatically using artificial intelligence and machine learning. Similarly, ad tech uses real-time offers for promotions to cart abandoners, or people give you a banner ad as soon as you actually see that you visited their website. All of that is done by machine learning. Identity resolution is the newest thing that is happening. Stores are using security camera feed to identify individuals as they are walking in, so that they can provide a differentiated experience to these individuals. These are some of the more advanced topics that are happening now in the marketplace, but they are all ready to transform your marketing analytics and your performance of the marketing. So, having said all of this, let's try to understand what's the challenges in this process. And there are quite a few challenges. One of them is multiple sources of the same data, or multiple sources of data which are unverified. You get people giving you false information so that you don't contact them. You have a form on your website and people enter your information, but they give you their personal email, which they never open, or they give you a phone number, which is a very generic exchange board phone number. First name, last name can also be different. So poor quality of customer information with typos in the names and address, they all contribute to the challenges of a marketer. Another major challenge that happens is the opt-out status of a customer at an individual level. You may discover that a customer wants you not to send them an email, or they have subscribed to getting a catalog from you, or they actually like your social media page. And those channels individually have to be monitored. So nowadays, there is a lot of channels by which a customer interacts with you. And you may have heard the term omni-channel marketing, which means that a customer could start his journey with you on one channel, but end up on a totally different channel and expect the same kind of behavior from the brand. The more completeness of their experience, the better it is. But all of this actually increases the amount of data that you get. And this data is needing to be cleansed and massaged and made analytics friendly. There are a lot of data fields that may be empty data fields, and this incompleteness causes you issues. So you have to decide what do you substitute for. For example, people never want to show you their age, but how do you then use demographics data to use them? How do you estimate that they are a 24 to 35 age group, or they are a 55 to 65 age group? You have to make some guesses based on other events that they may be actually sharing data with. Another thing that happens is customers actually move from location to location, particularly if they are renting every 6 months or so. You may discover that the email that you sent or the catalog that you sent to them is no longer reaching because they no longer live at that location. So the ability to track what is called a national change of address, and when people leave their jobs, identifying which is their current company, when did they move there, what is their title, all of these pieces of information cause a challenge in the process. Another piece is that channel preferences keep shifting. So customers may actually be today on Facebook, but 6 months later, Facebook no longer is their preferred channel. They have moved on to Instagram, they have moved on to WhatsApp, and you do not have a clue of where to reach them. Channel preference shift is a major challenge. Another major challenge that you run into is that the content that you sent to a person is not what they're looking for. It's not in what is called their context. And if your messaging is not in their context, it will be ignored. How do you deal with this? That's why you need context sensitivity analysis of a customer. Once all of these challenges are actually overcome, or you have got some processes to address them, you may discover that internally within your organization, your team may not be on the same page about what is the goal to achieve. So, as you saw in the analytics process, we said that the first thing to do is to set an objective of what are we going to achieve in this campaign. That objective and getting the team on the page is also another one of the challenges in the process of marketing analytics. So in conclusion, is there a solution that is available in this? Is a customer data platform a solution? And I think that it may be addressing some of the issues that you have, but that is such a big topic that we're going to take it up in our next webinar, which I hope that you will attend to. where we will talk about the customer data platform, how it helps marketing, and how you can take a shared marketing platform and reduce your cost of operation. So, in conclusion, let me gather a few things that we have talked about. We have talked about how to take advantage of predictive analytics in marketing. What are the common mistakes or data challenges that make predictive analytics difficult to use? And what are the tips and tricks to avoid them? What are the best practices implemented by mature organizations? How you can classify organizations based on the level of use of predictive analytics? And what are the popular tools and techniques available to enable predictive analytics? A robust and feature-rich CDP that can be deployed at web scale may be one of them, or extensive and smart use of AI and ML to guide a customer in his customer buying journey. That may be another one. Having said all of these challenges, it is still the best possible way to improve the return on your marketing spend. We can say that because we have been doing this for many, many years, and we have seen customers grow from uh, a small set of active customers to a ninefold increase in their customer base. So at this point, I will turn it over to Vinay to share the poll results with you. Vinay?
Yeah.
So what we found, what channels do you use for marketing? 94% of you actually use email marketing. Excellent. Catalog and postcard, about 18 to 20% of them. TV advertising, about 6%. Obviously, TV advertising is becoming more expensive than email and Google AdWords. 41% people use Google advertising, not more than that. I would have thought that that would have been almost 60, 70%. And social media advertising, 71%. That's quite interesting. Can we go to the next result? Does your company use predictive marketing today? 60% of the companies are using some form of predictive marketing. 18% are not using, and 24% do not know whether there is any use of predictive marketing in their organization. So there is roughly an opportunity for about 40% of the companies to actually improve their their marketing by use of predictive marketing. What about the next one? Do you have a marketing analytics team in-house? 56% say yes, 25% no, and then another 20% or so do not know. So roughly about, it's a 55-45 split of an in-house marketing analytics team versus not. Very good. So that's about what I had to share with you today. Vinay, I will turn it over to you for Q&A questions. If there are any questions that you could like to address, we have got about 15 minutes.
Yeah. So the floor is open for any questions. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, you can just raise your hand. I will unmute you at this point, or you can drop your question on the chat.
So we don't have any questions yet, Or maybe I have a question. How many of you actually use predictive analytics for print media? You can type your answer in the question box. So in the meantime, while you are actually thinking about the questions that you want to answer, here is our contact information. Express Analytics has a head office in Irvine in the Spectrum area in California. And we have got development centers in Irvine, and our DevOps is in India, where we actually provide 24/7 support for all our customers for their marketing analytics services.
Okay.
Do we have any questions on this
No.
point?
Okay. I have one question from Raghutam.
Uh-huh.
No, he just answered your question of 60%.
Oh, okay. Can you repeat that for everybody else?
Yeah, so you had asked question of um, how much predictive analytics are you using. So he basically replied.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if we don't have any more questions,
Linda has one more question
okay,
that I just saw. So Linda's question is going back to your slide about the different data sources to use, for example, like social media data. Do they have to be connected to the customers specifically? For example, we don't know who exactly posts comments or shares our content.
and ideally it would be great if you know, but this is one of the challenges that you do not know who the customer is, but at an aggregate level, you could actually identify and create what are called machine maps. What you could do is, you know that a customer from a particular particular IP address and a particular social media account has responded to you. Now, tying that data, their social media handle, to their profile is actually one of the more interesting challenges. And you don't need to, you could always do what is called a sentiment analysis at an aggregate level. So people in Los Angeles are saying something, but the people in Ohio are saying something different. Both of these are actually valid sentiment analysis examples of social media. If you can link them together to your customers in those areas, that will be great. But otherwise, you could still use that information for better understanding what is working in your marketing. Excellent question, though.
Okay, Linda, if that answered your question, you can reply just yes. Or you have any follow-up question to that, you can also post that. Okay, so Raghutam has one more question. Where can we use print media and how effective is that than other resources or other channels?
Yeah, this is actually an excellent question. Most people today are so enamored with digital marketing that they ignore the value of print media. For example, if you have got a robust email marketing program and you discover that there is a lot of customers are churning and doing an opt out, and they don't want you to send them emails, how do you reactivate them? And particularly with the new regulations of GDPR and the California rules, it's quite difficult for you to reactivate them using the channels and not being called a spammer. But you could always send them a postcard. You could send them a catalog. You could send them a leaflet about your products. And if that triggers them to come back and buy, that would be an excellent opportunity of reactivating them. So print media, when we say, you should look at postcards as a great example. You could create a QR code, put it on the postcard, which they can scan from their phone. And when they scan it, they can reach a web page specifically designed for them. That way, you can use the print media to trigger interaction with your website. And as soon as they do that, you know that they are still an active customer who has not moved away. They're only dormant. And you can actually target them to engage them in such a way that you get some more information.
Okay. Hope that answered your question, Raghutam. If you have any other follow-up questions, you can just type it out.
All right, we have just about 5 minutes now, or so. If we do not have any questions, we can close it.
Yeah, let's see. So Steve has one more question. I would like to know how much time does it take from start to finish to implement predictive analytics in my marketing department?
Steve, that's an excellent question. What I would say is that, based on our experience, the biggest time it takes is to collect the data. So our past experience has been that from the time you do a decision to run a predictive model, it can take you anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks to gather the data, cleanse it, massage it, and then create the predictive model, tune the predictive model, and then use that model to score your customer database. So 4 to 6 weeks is a good time in which you can actually initially target. But as time goes on, you could actually be doing modeling once every week. But to give you a ballpark time frame, a 1 month is a period in which you should be easily able to create a predictive model and test it.
Okay, so yeah, we can close.
All right, thank you, everybody. Truly appreciate you joining the webinar, and I hope you learned something. And if you need any questions, you have my email direct, as well as our website is available for you.
There is one more question I just saw.
Okay.
Yeah, from Raghutam again. Is our information or plan can be copied by social media?
I don't think I understood that.
Yeah. Raghutam, if you can elaborate it.
Is our information or plan
can copied by social media?
I'm not entirely sure I understand, but if you can elaborate that, I would be happy to answer that question.
Okay.
All right, so I think we have come to the end of our scheduled time, and I'm sure that all of you have got some information about it, you're welcome to send us emails and we will be happy to respond to you one-on-one. Thank you very much for attending the webinar, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, everyone.